carried out.
Well, let's talk about this with Kamran Matin, a senior lecturer in international relations, who joins us now. Morning to you. Thanks very much for coming to see us. So just let's talk, because there have been, I mean, we've been watching these pictures live this morning, and this funeral procession has been going on for several days now. What do you make of this kind of outpouring of grief that there has been?
Well, Qasim Soleimani was commanding Iran's external branch of Revolutionary Guards. So it effectively was leading and strategizing Iran's operations across the Middle East. Now, in his case, because of his position, he was not involved in domestic politics. Within Iran, a lot of people are unhappy about Revolutionary Guards' intervention in politics and elections and so on. But he had this advantage of not being seen as one which was breaching some of the basic democratic principles which the Iranian constitution after revolution has enshrined. So in that sense, I think he's more popular than some other figures within the Iranian regime. But also he's seen as someone who, within Iran, for many that fought against ISIS in Iraq and Syria and so on. But I should also say that there are also people who are not necessarily very unhappy about his death. I mean, there were celebrations in Nasiriyah, in Najaf in Iraq, in rebel-held area in Syria, because they saw him as one who was spreading sectarian violence in the region. So I think the opinion is a bit divided, but what we see from Iran is clearly a scene of kind of grief for his death.
I suppose the big question for everyone who's watching this closely is, what will Iran's next step be? What are your thoughts on what they might do?
Well, I mean, Iran is bound to retaliate because of the statue of Qasim Soleimani, and every single Iranian leader has pledged that. The problem for Iran is that the proxy retaliation, which give Iran some sort of plausible deniability, is not seen as proportionate to what's happened. In fact, New York Times, I just saw reports that Iranian leader has said it has to be done by the Iranian regular forces, so that it becomes proportionate. But in that case, then Donald Trump has threatened to bomb 52 sites in Iran, a very specific threat. So that would lead to a kind of tit-for-tat, a series of actions which could easily, degenerate into a war.
And neither side has said they want a war.
Yeah, exactly. So neither side seems to be deliberately seeking a war, but the situation is such that that is, quite possible actually to happen. So it really all depends how Iran responds. Initially, it seemed that Iran wants to simply focus on expulsion of U.S. troops from Iraq through legal means. The Iraqi parliament passed a bill that they should go, and that would be seen actually as a quite big victory for Iran for expelling U.S. from Iraq. But it seems that Iran is not satisfied with simply that. They want actually to attack American interests.
I'm also interested in the front page of The Guardian, at least, had this story about the US being forced to deny a plan for their troops to quit Iraq. So it also has a wider impact on the region as well, potentially, doesn't it?
Exactly, because actually US operations, coalition, anti-ISIS coalition operations in Syria is actually run from Iraqi Kurdistan, most of it. Many of the main bases for a U.S. operation in Syria is based in Iraq. So actually leaving Iraq would effectively mean leaving Syria too. So and that would involve Israeli security and all sorts of other security issues. So I would be very surprised if the United States withdrew from Iraq in large scale anytime soon. And they denied that letter was not actually true.
They said it wasn't signed, didn't they?
Yes.
Oh, thank you very much indeed.
Fascinating. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good to speak to you this morning. It's 7:15. Let's find